name's Derek Ashauer. I'm from AshWebStudio. Today I wanted to talk about Google Analytics. I get a lot of clients who ask me about how to look at their data in Google Analytics, or when I ask clients if they have looked at it, they say no because they're just so overwhelmed they haven't quite figured out what to do with it, and so they just don't do it at all. So I thought today I would go through some of the areas within Google Analytics and explain what the data is telling you, and also to kind of let you know which data to actually take a look at. And then the last thing I want to do is just some advanced techniques of what you can do to kind of learn about use your data to learn about your business. And also importantly, you always need to kind of interpret your data. And that'll make sense when we get to that here in a moment. I'm going to go through just a kind of a typical informational website with a call to action to fill out a contact form. And then I'm also going to go through an e-commerce site and then talk about a couple other sites as well. The first one I have up is my wife's photography business. She does family photography and wedding photography. I'm going to mostly show my own properties because I don't think clients want me showing their data to the world. So this is her website. It's beafreebird.com. And when you first log into Google Analytics, what it will do is it's going to show you, it should default to the past week of data. The very first thing I like to do is switch to the last 30 days. So I'm going to go March 16th. I'm going to go February 16th to March 16th and do a whole 30 days. I like 30 days. I feel like it just gives a little bit more data. 1 week isn't quite sufficient in my opinion. So first thing you should do always just kind of go back to the last 30 days. Now, when we first log in, you're going to be presented with this audience overview screen. It's going to give you some general information. The first line here is going to be the sessions, the users, and the page views. So what it's telling me that there was 186 users with 245 sessions. So that means some of these 186 users actually came back and visited multiple times over the past 30 days. And on average, or not on average, but there was a total of 629 page views. A page view is if someone, say, goes to the website, views the home page, services page, and contact. That would be 3 page views. So on average, the people that come to the site average about 2.5 pages every time they come to this site. They spend on average about 2 minutes on the website. And then the bounce rate is 48.57% here. Now, what are good numbers for these 3? Obviously, your traffic numbers are gonna. The higher the better. You know, you always want as much as possible. So there's the sky's the limit on these numbers. But with these, what I often get, what are some good numbers for these? And unfortunately, it's going to be, it depends on your website. But in general, I'll try and give some general information that over 2 pages is good. Again, the higher the better. The more pages people interact with your website, that means that they're more engaged in your website. They're more interested. They're doing more stuff. They find more relevant information on your site. So 2 to 3 pages is typically what we see on most client sites. Anything over 3 is definitely good. I'm okay with 2.57 on this for this site. Average session duration, so 2 minutes, that's a good solid amount of time. I would say 2 minutes is enough time for someone to go in, read some information, look at some photos, go through the galleries, look at some things, and interact with the site and do something, contact. Bounce rate is, what a bounce rate is when someone comes to a page on your website, any page, and then immediately leaves. So if they came to the home page and did not click on any other links on their website and then just hit the back button or close their browser window, that would be a bounce. If someone goes to a home page and then clicks on another page, they are no longer considered bouncing. So on her site, about 48% of the people come to a page, not necessarily the home page, but a page on her website, and then leave without clicking on any links. I would say that's pretty good. It's not great. It's not bad by any means. It's pretty good. Typically when I see something over 70%, that's definitely a problem. 60 to 7, I'm, doing a little bit of work. I'm a little worried and looking at the website. 50 to 60, I start going, okay, what is the website? How is the website? What is the target audience? What is it about? There might be some reasons for that. But 40 to 50 is pretty good. and 30 to 40 is great on typically. Every single website is going to be unique, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. But again, those are some kind of general numbers that I would go with. Percent new sessions. So this means about 69 out of every 100 people is a brand new user to the website. So this is the first time that they have visited the website. The next thing I like to look at is the country. We want to take a look at and see where people are coming from. Now, this isn't necessarily to learn about our audience. This is just to make sure that the website isn't getting flooded with not necessarily malicious people, but just people who have absolutely no intent to actually become a customer. So people in India, the UK, and Canada are obviously not going to be photographed by her. So, those are people looking at the website for other reasons. Now, I use this website as an example of our web design. So I have it listed in a lot of web design galleries. So there might be other web designers who are coming to this site to just look at the overall design. So that might be what this traffic is. And as such, those type of visitors are going to be skewing the data. So what you can do, or what I will do sometimes is I'll go into analytics and I'll go to this all users, and I'll go ahead and click on that and go to new segment. And we can segment this data. And so we'll go to demographics, location, and I'll just do country contains United States. And so we can, let's do US. All right, save. And so that's going to filter all the data and only show me data from people who were in the United States. Now you can see when we did that, the average session duration went up by about, I think it was like 10, 12 seconds or something like that. The bounce rate went down slightly, and the pages per session went up. That's exactly what we would expect, because now this is a lot more focused of an audience than it was compared to the international audience. And if you're really local, like this one, you could go even deeper in this. We could go and create a new segment that's even more specific, and we could go to region, and we could do Colorado. So we could do people all in just the state of Colorado. All right, so cancel. So now we can see here's our Colorado traffic. And you can see, again, compared to the US, the bounce rate went down. Again, more targeted audience. So that is exactly what we would expect. The average session went up. Again, more targeted audience, pages per session up as well. So you can see why segmenting your audience, if you are a location-specific company, how that can be important in doing your Google Analytics. So you can get a better feel for what your actual potential customers are doing on the website. So I went ahead and removed those segments so we can just look at the data overall still. The next thing that I like to look at is acquisition. Where are these people coming from? So I'm going to go to acquisition, all traffic, source medium. So what we'll see is, looks like 120 people, so about almost 49% of our traffic is coming from Google or organic searches. So that means someone goes to google.com, types, Fort Collins photographer, and ends up on her website, which is great. So she gets most of her traffic through her search engine optimization traffic. The other one is direct. So that would be direct traffic is anyone who maybe who bookmarked her URL, in your bookmarks, who knew the URL and just typed it directly into the browser toolbar or in the browser address bar at the top. Or maybe they got a link from someone in an email, and so it came from an email link. That's considered a direct. The next two ones are from mobile Facebook, m.facebook, that's the mobile version. So on facebook.com, usually apps, the Facebook app, and this is the desktop version. So the next largest one is that, and then there's just a trickle of other random stuff. So those seem to be her most frequent ways to getting traffic to her website, which makes perfect sense because she will do blog posts whenever she does a session with a client, and then would post those on Facebook. And so that's why there's a fair amount of traffic from there. Let's see. The next thing that I like to go to is conversions, and this is really probably the most important aspect to go through, because we want to see, we want to make sure that people are doing what we want them to do. So we don't create a website just to get people to look at stuff. We create a website for them most often to do something. And in this case, for this website, it's to fill out a contact form. So we've set up goal tracking, which tracks every time someone hits a thank you page, which they can only get to after submitting the form on the contact page. So in these 30 days, she had she had 9 form submissions, but with a conversion rate of 3.67%, which is great. So I'm very excited to see that conversion rate. A typical conversion rate is 1 to 2%. A good one is over 2%. Great one is over 3. If you're under 1%, we need to look at your site and see what's going on and figure out why people aren't converting. The other thing is we find a lot of clients that do not have goal tracking set up at all. Goal tracking is by far the most important thing to set up in Google Analytics. Without it, it essentially becomes pretty useless. Mostly useless. And if you don't have that, that should be the absolute first thing you are setting up right now. Go ahead, pause this video, go set up goal tracking, and then come back and look at the rest of this stuff. Because a lot of the data that we look at is based on goal tracking. For e-commerce sites, which we'll look at a separate e-commerce site in a moment, we'll take a look at how to look at goal tracking for that. But again, you can track a lot of different things with goal tracking. This website in particular, we only have form submissions. She doesn't really prominently list her phone number because she doesn't like getting phone calls because she's not typically available right now to answer those phone calls. So she likes to do everything through the form. So that's why we're only setting that up. But we can also track phone calls as well. We do have a service where we can set up goal tracking through a phone call. Let me switch. This is another site that we have set up. And this one, if we go to conversions, goals, this one tracks form submissions and phone calls. So if we look, let's do this last 30 days. So we can get, again, a little bit better value on this. We can see that we have a whole bunch of goals being tracked here. So we can see form submissions, there's been 5 in the last 30 days, and then calls, 37. So what we do is we put a unique phone number on your website. It is only available on your website. It's not in any of your other marketing materials, not on business cards, nowhere else. So that we know that the only way someone got that phone number was from your website. And we can track that through some tools that we have, and it can mark it as a conversion here in Google Analytics. Now you can see if we looked at this for the last month, we would go, oh, there's only 5 form submissions. But for this client in particular, we drive home a phone number first and foremost. And as such, there's been 37 phone calls in the last month. If we looked at this without it, we go, oh, there's only been 5 form submissions. That's not, in a month, that's not getting me very many leads. But in fact, it is getting a ton of leads. It's getting 37. So that's a really important thing to think about, is setting up some call tracking on your website so that you can really understand the full value of your website to your business. If you only track form submissions and you also have a phone number listed on your website, you're not getting the full value. You're not understanding the full value of your website. Sorry, you're getting the full value. You're just not understanding it because you're not tracking it. So let's go back. We'll put that away. So this is back to the photography site. So again, 3.67, great conversion rate. Really happy about that. 9 form submissions, that's pretty good based on her traffic, because she does not get very much traffic because of the very specific niche. Within here, it's also important to take note of the source or the medium. We want to know where are people coming from. Where are people coming from to actually convert and do something. Maybe she's doing some social media advertising. If you're doing social media marketing, you're doing email marketing, and you're doing search engine optimization, you need to know which one is your most effective marketing channel. Maybe you're sending out emails every single week, but not a single person calls you or fills out your form or does whatever you're tracking. basically that's not really doing that great of a job for you. And maybe you consider whatever money or time that you're investing in your email marketing, you can then reinvest that, take some of that money out of that pot and put it towards another one that's actually working. Like for her, search engine optimization. That's her primary, that's the sole actually way that she's getting contacts, because this is Google Organic and this is a Google Quick Search on an Android device. So essentially, all her leads came from someone searching on Google, finding her website, and then filling out the form. So again, that's why goal tracking is incredibly important. Let's see. We talked about our traffic overall. Again, sorry, if we go to this all traffic source medium, one other thing I want to make a point of is in here, we can also get that same data. Google Organic, we can see 8 contact form submissions. There's one, and then there was another one right here from this quick search here. All right. The next thing that we want to look at is, that I like to look at, is the behavior, and go to site content, all pages. So what this does is it tells us what is the most frequently visited pages on her website. So this tells me that the home page is by far the most visited page on the website. Not at all surprising. I think that's the case for every single website I've ever looked at data for. But I would assume that her next most important page, or most frequently visited page, would be her portfolio gallery. But when we look at the data, that's actually number 3 for this period of time. The second most is actually her information, and it happens to be her info and pricing page. So that's just good to know that people are really interested in knowing what her pricing is. That's kind of what we can glean. That people really want to know what her pricing is, and even more so than her actual example photos from other weddings and family photo sessions that she's done. We can get some other great information from this, like how engaged they are on specific pages. So people seem to spend a little bit more time on this info page than they do on the gallery page. And they spend the most time on the contact page, which makes sense. When someone gets to the contact page, that's more likely when they're going to be typing in their name, their email, their phone number, and filling out that information, so that takes a little bit more time to fill all that information out. But the About page, less people visit it, but they're on there for a longer time, so that's great. People are really engaged with that page. They're reading the whole thing. So we can really learn a lot about how people interact with the site itself from this section of data here in Google Analytics. Let's see, the last thing that I kind of wanted to touch upon is we get a lot of people that ask about mobile. How important is mobile? Google has recently come out and said that their data is telling them that now it finally passed that threshold where now more than half of all searches is being done on mobile devices. So we definitely do recommend that all websites be mobile optimized because a lot of traffic nowadays is happening on mobile devices. So what's great is we can go into this audience, go into mobile, and go to overview. Now, although half of all searches is being done on mobile devices, it's also important, and something that I always tell clients is you need to look at your traffic and understand your audience. As we go through some of these sites, you'll see it is not all the same. On this site in particular, it looks like just over half is on desktop and just under half is on mobile. So pretty close to what Google is saying, about how much traffic is on mobile versus desktop. One thing to point out that's some really interesting data about this is that if we look over here, we can see, on mobile devices, 7 of the 9 total contact form submissions were on mobile devices. So that means that she has very active and engaged and motivated people on mobile devices. So that's one reason why looking at your data is very important, and why setting up these goals are really important, because it's important to understand that. So we really want to make sure that that mobile version of her site is really easy for people to get to that contact page and fill out that form. I would be curious. I would like for her to set up a phone number and do call tracking. She just Is that, and every business has a way of doing things. She doesn't want to answer phone calls because she's busy homeschooling on most weekdays and doesn't want to be distracted with phone calls, so that's why she prefers the forms. But it would be interesting to know that data of how many people, since she has a lot of people on mobile phones, it's so easy to just tap a phone number and do a phone call. So, it would be interesting to have some of that data to see if we had that call tracking on there and what that looked like. And we could really push that phone number on mobile devices. So that's really the main areas of general information that I look at. Now, the next thing that we want to look at is comparing to past data. It's really important to take a look at your site and see how it's performing from past time periods. Ideally, we would see a growth over time. Now, with Google Analytics, you go here to the time area to select what time, and so we have these, this about 30 days or so, and we can do a comparison. We can compare to the previous period. So we'll pick the exact same number of days and do compare that previous time to this time. So you can see how it's, looks like from January, mid-January to mid-February versus mid-February to mid-March. And we could do an apply and we could compare the differences. That's one way to do it. I personally like to do it over the previous year. I want to see this year versus last year. This is one of my favorite things to take a look at. So if we do that and we want to go back to the audience overview to just kind of look at the overall performance of things, and what we're seeing is a lot of red. Red is things are going down. So we're seeing 25% less sessions, about almost 30% less users, and almost 30% less page views. The pages per session is essentially the same, so that means statistically insignificant. But the average time on the site has gone up a decent amount. So 140. Before it was 1:39, and now it's averaging just over 2 minutes. So what that's telling me again is, hey, this site is more engaging to people this year than it was last year. I will say that I honestly don't remember the exact date. I think it was about 8 or 9 months ago we redesigned the site. So what that's telling me is that the new version of the site is more engaging, which is great. That's exactly what we would want. It's essentially the exact same information, just presented differently, and that has got people to stick around on the website more. So that, that's one element that we would look at for a successful redesign. But now as far as traffic, we want to keep diving into the numbers. We can't just look at these numbers right here. If I looked at this, I would be like, oh no, this is bad. But let's look at the numbers and let's dive into this. So let's go to conversions. So we'll go to goals and we'll go to our overview. If we look at this, all we see is green numbers. We're seeing everything is significantly better than it was a year ago. We're seeing 9 contact form submissions versus 2. We're seeing a 3.67% versus a 0.61. And so we're seeing a total abandonment rate, meaning how many people abandon the website before converting. And then just the overall this is just this individual goal. So since she only has one goal, these two numbers match. So a year ago, she had 2 form submissions in this exact same time period. This year, she had 9. So the new version of the website is performing significantly better at getting people to contact her. Even though the overall traffic is down, the number of form submissions is way up relatively. So that means the new version of the website is performing significantly better, which is great. That's exactly what we would want to see in any kind of in any kind of redesign for a website. Now let's kind of dive out and figure out what's going on with that traffic. So we'll go to acquisition, all traffic, and then go to source medium. So let's figure out what's going on and why she has a decrease in traffic. So if we look at Google Organic, we actually see in 2017, she actually had more than she did in 2016. So her organic search result traffic is actually up by a little bit. Not huge, but it's up. If we look at direct, or we look at her social media stuff, that is down. So we can see, a fair amount of visitors from direct visits is down, and then a fair amount from desktop on Facebook is down, and a fair amount, 20 total people on the mobile version. So that pretty much the decrease from direct and Facebook is overshadowing the increase, the slight increase from Google Organic. So it sounds like she's getting, there's either more people searching or she's ranking better for the targeted keyword phrases. But then there's less people going directly. So, which doesn't surprise me. Again, although compared to last year, she is doing less sessions with clients. Again, the reason being is homeschooling. She's having focusing more of her time on that. So compared to what she did last year. So she's doing less client sessions and sending out less links to clients to review their photos, and as such, there's less direct traffic. And because she's doing less sessions, she's creating less blog posts and posting that less frequently on Facebook. So that explains all the decrease in traffic that we saw. So again, if I stopped and only looked at these numbers, I would think that this website is suffering significantly from the previous year. But once we dove into the data, we learned that it's actually doing better. It's just because of what she has going on with her business. This is the direct result of that social media stuff decreasing. So next up is an e-commerce site. All right, so now we're taking a look at an e-commerce site. This is a side business of mine, and I'm going to just kind of show it to you so that you can see what it is. It'll make sense. So what it is a WordPress plugin built specifically for photographers to sell photos and images and digital downloads, for photographers to sell prints and digital downloads to their clients. So this is exactly what my wife uses. I created this product for my wife because everything out in the market at the time 5 years ago, to be honest, sucked. So I thought I could make one in a week, and then 6 months later I had something done. But it did so well, I started offering it to other photographers, and it kind of took off, and now it's a whole separate side business that we have. So what this is, there's a free version of the plugin, and I'm going to go through all this just because it'll make sense as we go through the data and how I interpret and read the data for this site. So there's a free version of the plugin, and then users can come and buy add-ons which extend the functionality of the platform. They can also buy what we call the Pro Bundle, which is all the add-ons for one single highly discounted price. Pardon me. So if we go back to the data here, so this is again the audience overview for this website. Again, it defaults to the last week, so I like to do the last 30 days to start with to get a much better overview of what's going on. We can see, there's this one spike on this one day. Not sure what happened. We probably did some kind of push or marketing thing, or it got posted on some other blog or something like that. Something happened that day. But this is the average. You can see it's pretty consistent over time, and it looks like it kind of goes peaks and valleys based on weekdays and weekends. We have some client sites that are very, very distinct, where Monday is the most popular day, and then slowly decreases to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday it literally gets zero traffic, and then Monday it'll get hundreds of people, and it just starts over and over and over, and it looks like a nice little wave here in this little thing. And that's a very common thing to see in traffic patterns. So in looking at this site, again, we had 3,000 sessions with almost 2,000 users with 12,000 page views. So this site obviously gets a lot more traffic than the photography site. This one averages 4 pages per session and 5 minutes and 42 seconds per visit with a bounce rate of under 40%. So I am incredibly happy, not to toot my own horn, but incredibly happy with this data. You can see that a lot higher. 4 pages per session is great. Almost 6 minutes per page, or almost 6 minutes on the website is phenomenal. That means people are really engaging and reading all the information and looking it over and really thinking about it. The bounce rate is low, so that's great. It means that I have a website that has useful, good information on every page, so that when they hit it, it's driving people to click and learn more about stuff. And so that's really great. Again, we can see, we go to the country and we get some great data. Sunshine Photocart is an international product, so I have no need to filter by country. It is available to anyone in any country. And I would say that, in fact, half of our sales are actually from people outside the United States. So not at all surprised to see a whole bunch of countries listed throughout here, and that the United States is only 36% of our overall traffic. The next thing that I want to see is I want to go to my conversion data. It's all about the money, especially on an e-commerce site. So if we go to overview, we can see for these 30 days, we have a 1.28 conversion rate. So that means 1.28 people out of every 100 actually make a purchase on the website. As I said before, with the goal tracking for the form submissions, on an e-commerce site, 1 to 2 is okay. I would like to see over 2%. I'm always shooting for a 2% conversion rate, but I do also take this data with a grain of salt. I post Sunshine Photo Cart in a lot of web design galleries as well to do promotion for AshWebStudio, as this is an example of a site that we can do, and to also promote our web development capabilities. Like, we can create a really complicated, sorry, let me mute that, a really high-end and complicated e-commerce platform. That's takes a lot of complex coding development, and we use Sunshine as an example of what AshWebStudio can do as a design standpoint for the website itself, as an example of the development work that we do, and also some of the marketing stuff that we can do for it. Since it's our own property, we pretty much throw everything at it. So we can see, so that as a result, it's getting a lot of traffic of basically what we call looky-loos. People just looking at the website, but they're not at all the intended audience. So while I don't really know what the true conversion rate is, if I can't filter out the looky-loos because this is an international audience. I can't filter by country or anything like that. I would assume that the conversion rate would be higher if I was not using this website for other marketing purposes. We had 39 total transactions, so there's 39 total purchases with a revenue of just shy of $4,000, and then the average order value, which is good to know that what's the average value of every time someone orders on the website. So 43 unique purchases mean there was 43 unique items sold over 39 transactions. So by and large, most people buy one item. And some people buy a couple of the individual add-ons. So if we go down here, we can look and see what are our most popular products sold. And as you can see, that Pro bundle is by large the most popular thing sold on the website. People are going to buy are most likely going to just buy the whole thing because you get all these great features and it is highly discounted. The next thing that we want to look at is the source and medium. So again, this is really important to look at so you can understand what is your most highest grossing revenue channel. For this one, so this is a custom tracking link that I have. Like I said, we offer a free version of the plugin, and I think after 15 or 30 days, I'm not sure which one it is, a little link will pop up in the user's WordPress administration area and say, hey, you've been trying this free version out for a little while. Why don't you go check out the Pro version, or go check out some of the add-ons and see if there's anything interesting there that you want to buy. And that seems to be the main source of revenue. Google Organic is another one, so people searching online, for whatever search terms that we're coming up for, and then just making a purchase directly after searching. We get a little bit of Facebook stuff. We get some direct, again, that's emails, or maybe some email marketing, or people who have come and bookmarked, stuff like that, and then some other just small revenue sources throughout here. But we can see, like, for example, I do a little bit of Facebook advertising. I spend like maybe $50 a month, but it's good to know that I'm at least recouping that cost. I made $238 from my Facebook ads, so at least I know I'm making that back, and I'm making a little bit of money on top. So there's no point in me canceling those ads. If I knew I was spending $1,000 a month in Facebook ads and only making $238, I know I need to either, one, just turn those ads off because it's not working for me, or I need to go through and really try and work on optimizing those ads. So that's why this information is really important. You want to see what is working for you and what is not, and where you can make some adjustments. Same thing as before, we go through acquisition, source, medium, We can get a good idea of where all this, where we're getting all our traffic. Google Organic is the number one source of traffic, the next one being direct, and then a little bit from after people use the plugin, then they come to the website, so on and so forth. Not too much from social media marketing here. You can see here's some custom tracking from our email marketing list. We don't get too much traffic. I'll be honest, I haven't done. I've been so busy with client work, I haven't done very much social media or email marketing. It's just kind of running on autopilot for the past year or so. The one thing that I did want to go over and show on this is why you need to look at your mobile data. So let's go to this site's mobile data, and if we go in here, we're going to see desktop gets 84.66% traffic and mobile only gets 12%. So this is why I always tell clients and tell everyone when looking at your data, when it comes to mobile, you need to look at your data. You need to understand what your audience is doing. And I can try and make sense of this because people who are looking at this, they're looking at investing a significant amount into their business. For photographers, how they sell their prints to their clients, or selling prints to clients, can make upwards of 75% of their total revenue. So it's a huge thing for them. And so they're really going to research which platform they want to use to interact with their customers. So it's not something that they're going to do at the dental office and make a quick unresearched decision. Maybe they'll find it on social media, maybe they'll be on their phone at the dentist, but then they'll bookmark it or save it or email it to themselves and go check it out later. But when people are actually going to end up making a purchase, we can see 97.44% of the people made a purchase on desktop. Only one person in the last month made a purchase on a mobile device, which also makes a lot of sense because in order to install this plugin, you have to be on desktop. I mean, you technically, I'm honestly not sure. I don't think you can even install this plugin when you're on a mobile phone. You have to be on desktop. So that explains why. And so you have to understand your audience and what they're doing and what they are doing to understand the importance of mobile versus desktop for you and your site. We can do some other things just because I'm curious. I haven't looked at this all in a very long time. So, what's the most popular content? Looks like the homepage and then going to the support section. So that's not surprising. People coming there and going directly to support. People interested in the add-ons, understanding the features, and then going to the pro bundle, checking out the demo, logging into their account, looking at the documentation, and so on and so forth. This seems pretty much what I would have expected, but it's good to know. We want to make sure that a lot of people want to go to the support. So making sure that there is a clear link and make it very easy for people to find that support link on our website, which it is. It's top right hand corner where you would expect it. So that's pretty much everything when it comes to an e-commerce site. Now the last thing I wanted to touch on was this is a client site that we're currently in the process of redesigning right now. So it's another low traffic site at the moment. Hopefully we'll be changing that in the coming months. But some things to look at is, the one thing that these two numbers right here, their current version of the site, 39 seconds, that's hardly any time to really read or look at their current version of the website. The bounce rate, 60%, that's definitely up there in that, alarm, red flags are starting to go up. There's something going on here. I'll be looking at all this information in analytics to understand what is the important content, and making it easy for people to find that important content. So, if we're looking at the behavior, we'll go to site content. We'll go in here, past projects. By far, not by far, but if they're limited traffic, it's kind of hard to see. Oh, that's the reason why, because we only have 30 days. That's right. So let's go here. Let's do a whole month. Here we go. We got a little bit higher data. So the homepage, of course, the most popular. Past projects, and then individual services, individual projects. So people are looking at their portfolio. Sorry, I should explain. This is a construction company. They do interior remodeling and outdoor stuff like pergolas and decks and stuff like that. And they also remodel kitchens and bathrooms and put in hardwood floors and all that kind of interior remodeling stuff. So we can see like what particular services they want, and so we can understand that people want to get to their projects and understand their services. So those are the two most important things. About the company is not really all that important to people. They really just want to see the work and see what they do. So that's what we're taking into consideration as we redesign their site. Conversions, we'll go to goals. We go to overview. Nothing. They had no goal tracking set up. So this is really important. We'll try and go in before we launch the new version of the site, so at least we have a little bit of historical data. But really, this is why it's so important. I have no idea where to go with our marketing stuff. We're kind of starting from scratch. They've had a website up for, I don't know, 7 years or something like that, and there's just no tracking. I have no idea what is actually working for them to get form submissions or phone calls. So we'll be starting that tracking, and then so it'll just take us a few months before we can start implementing some strategies, because we just don't have this data. So it's always I just wanted to go through this to really reiterate how important it is to have goal tracking set up on your site, because again, you can have all this data of all these people coming to your site, but without goal tracking, you have no idea what is actually working for you and where those people that actually fill out a form, where are they coming from? So that you're not wasting money on, if you're spending $1,000 a month on Google AdWords, but not a single person contacts you or buys a product from an AdWords campaign, you know that you have some issues with your AdWords campaign and you need to make some adjustments. And that's why goal tracking is so important. All right, well, that's all I got as far as Google Analytics goes. If you have any questions, please visit us at AshWebStudio.com. And you can get some help setting up your analytics if you need some help with that or help with anything else. Hope you found this informational, and talk to you soon.